Hey everybody, welcome back to another Israel prep video. This is video 4. I had to look at my list because I wasn't sure. I feel like I've done a lot of these. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, this may be one that you want to skip. Today we're going to talk about some of the locations that we're going to be going to, both probably this month and next. I'm going to split this up so it's not just a one great big video. Because I've had a lot of people ask, I've said some of these names and some of these places, and you don't always necessarily know what it is that happened there, why it's biblically significant, and why we're even going to begin with. So I want to hit on some of those things. If you're the kind of person who wants to go in blind and just be surprised by where we're going and, not really necessarily need to know that kind of stuff, skip the video. That's perfectly fine if that's you. That is not me. I am the kind of person who wants all the information ahead of time. But I understand how this could technically be a spoiler video. And again, for those that are maybe catching this, or maybe this is the first time or anything else, we are going to Israel for 10 days in March of 2026. That is 11 months from now. Again, depending on when this releases. Based on what I can do here, but we're going to be spending a lot of time in country, and I kind of want to make sure that you see the value of what we're doing. That it's not a small amount of money. I don't even pretend like it is, but it is worth it for sure. The value is there. But if you're kind of trying to decide and pick and what you want to do, and do you or do you not want to go, I want to make sure that you at least feel comfortable with the money you're spending, that we're going to see some awesome things. So we're going to go through the list. I got this whole list right here of all these things. It's 4 pages long, but I want to kind of walk through it. So this video here today will be the first couple days, probably up until we get to Israel, or get to Jerusalem, excuse me. And then we'll do a Jerusalem and on for the next video. So just to kind of get you some ideas, because it is a lot of sites. It's a lot of places. For those of you that haven't seen the updates on how things are going to go, we are going to be flying out of Chicago. We'll go from Chicago to Frankfurt in Germany. Should be about an 8.5, 9-hour flight. So better than the 12 to get there normally if it was a direct flight. And then we'll go from Frankfurt to Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is one of really 2 major cities in Israel. There's a handful of medium-sized places, but really the 2 big cities are Tel Aviv, which is on the coast, and Jerusalem. Difference between the 2, it's very, very different types of cultures and cities that have been created there. Tel Aviv is the more modern city. It's the more updated. It has grown. It's has a lot of nightlife. It has a lot of activity. I think when there's like concerts and things, most of the time, those kind of events happen in Tel Aviv. And again, it's on the Mediterranean coast. It's a beautiful city. We're not going to be there very long, but it is the modern place, and it's where the airport is. We're going to fly into Ben Gurion Airport. That's where we kind of get in. The other city then is Jerusalem, obviously. And we've talked a little bit about this in the past episodes, but Jerusalem is the country capital. It's in the middle of the country. It is where the Senate, government stuff is. It's very much like our Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court is there, or their version of the Supreme Court is there. All the government offices, anything that's going on in the city takes place there in Jerusalem, but it is an ancient city. It's a much older city. Even in the new, quote unquote, parts, that's not the old city that have surrounded the old city, it still is an older place. And it is, while still modern, I mean, obviously there's cars and food places and malls and all that kind of stuff. It does definitely have, they've worked very hard to make that an older feeling place. And again, kind of like our Washington, D.C., you don't see a lot of marble buildings outside of D.C., especially in the quantity that we have there. It's the same kind of idea. We want it to seem a little older, a little more established, a little more important, and that's what they've done there with Jerusalem. So we'll be arriving in Tel Aviv, and one of the first places we'll go is the ancient city of Joppa, or Jaffa, depending on, again, translations there. And actually, Tel Aviv has grown so much that it actually has eaten Jaffa. It is a neighborhood now instead of a separate city. So Tel Aviv is a very, very big city, but it has taken Jaffa over, and Jaffa, of course, is an ancient city. Some of the stories that revolve around Joppa, the biggest one is Jonah. The story of Jonah and the big fish. Jonah goes to Joppa to catch a ship to take him as far away from Nineveh as he possibly can go. Joppa was a major seaport and really was the exit of the country. If you wanted to go somewhere else, you went to Joppa. Joppa would take you to other places. The other thing that is there, if you know the story of Simon the Tanner, which is a place that Peter visited after the crucifixion of Christ, and he's going around, he goes and visits Simon the Tanner, and it was a tanner was someone who worked with animal skins to make leather, and that would have been an unclean profession. The fact that that Peter went to go visit Simon the Tanner and stayed in his house was kind of a thumb in the nose of the old ways are over. We're doing something new here, and this is a blessed place. Unfortunately, we don't get to go and actually see the inside of Simon the Tanner's place. It is there. It's marked with a big sign up on it. But it's privately owned, and they don't offer tours at this time. So that's Joppa. That's one of the first places we'll get to. The next major place we'll go is Caesarea Maritima, or sometimes just Caesarea. It is also a seaport. It is much newer than Joppa. It is was constructed and built by Herod the Great. So you're talking in the last century of BCE, probably around 70 to 50 BCE. This place would have been come in with Herod the Great, and he would have created this city and made it much, much larger. It would have been kind of the country capital for the Roman influence here. This is where all the Roman ships would have come in. They had some major things out in the water to accommodate some larger Roman ships. There's an amphitheater there. There is a horse track, that the name of what those are actually escapes me off the top of my head. You'll see a Roman bath there. You'll see public buildings. It's one of the places that Paul stood on trial for a while, and you can see that. You can also see the Herod influence. The one thing that you'll learn on this that I didn't know at all was Herod the Great was a horrible, horrible man in how he behaved. But boy, did that guy know how to make a city. And he knew how to build, he knew how to plan. And there's so much that's still standing today from Herod the Great. And this is the father of Herod that would have persecuted Jesus. But Herod the Great was a major Roman influencer, came in and made a lot of modernization at the time, right at the BCE to CE transition. And Caesarea is kind of a jewel of his work. It is, obviously it is a ruin now, but you'll see a lot of how powerful and how big and how awesome that place used to be. And very near there, we hopefully will also get to run down and see an actual Roman aqueduct that runs into Caesarea. It's a little outside of city, but Caesarea was fortified during the Crusades. It was one of those places that lots of major battles took place in. It's a very interesting history. So that'll be a cool place to see and kind of get that picture of the Roman influence, kind of both with Joppa and specifically with Caesarea, because it's not just the Canaanites, the Galilee, the Hebrew, whatever you want to call it, the Jewish people. There's also this major Roman influence, and Caesarea really sets us up for that. Another place we will go pretty early in the trip will be Mount Carmel, or Mount Carmel, depending on who you talk to and how you pronounce it. Mount Carmel, one of the most famous things about that is it was the place that Elijah challenged the Baal worshipers to a battle of the gods, where he made the altar and asked them to make an altar and have the fire come down and destroy it, and their God couldn't do it, and he soaked it with water, was running back and forth to the streams to get water to fill it up, and the pillar was consumed by fire. And then, of course, he had to flee because all the Baal worshippers wanted to kill him. You can see, it says in the Bible that he fled towards the Mediterranean. You can see the coastline from there. It's still, it is inland, probably a few miles, mile or so, but you can see exactly where he would have fled to. And it also is a beautiful overlook of some of the other places from the Old Testament. I won't get into too much, but you'll see a lot of places and we'll be able to point to say that's where this happened, that's where this happened, that's where this happened, because it is a Old Testament kind of place. Next place we're going to talk about is another ruin site, and it is Tel Megiddo. A tel, if you don't know, is an architectural or is a archaeological word, that basically means a city built on top of a city. And if you dig down, you can find layers of the city. So it shows that kind of ancient. This is the much more modern. Below it is an earlier city and an earlier city and an earlier city. So a lot of times with a tel as a archaeological site, they'll kind of cut a pie piece into the hill that it is on and be able to pull that out and then look down and see all the civilizations and different things that went on there. Tel Megiddo is a very cool place because it does have, it is a site of several battles. It was a major point in terms of who controlled it over biblical times, Old Testament times, even up through the Roman times. And it has a really cool feature we're going to get to see. We're going to go down to the water source of this place because it was such a cool thing they did. Was the water source for the city was actually quite a ways away. But they built this underground tunnel from the water source to the city. So they could fortify the city, basically lock themselves inside of it to protect themselves from invaders and still have plenty of water, despite the fact that they were up on a hill and there was no water source there. Very cool thing. This is where we will do, I have to look back at the numbers because I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but we'll go down over 100 steps to the tunnel and we will walk it down to the water source and then we will come back up. I think it's about 80 steps back up. Probably the most physically demanding place we will go to. I've had some of the older people that are talking about going with us ask, how rigorous. This is probably about as rigorous as we'll do, is the Megiddo site. And it does look out also upon the Megiddo Valley, which, depending on your theology there, will be the final place of the great battle between good and evil, will be in Megiddo Valley. Next couple places we're going to take a look at will be places that are very important to Jesus's life, places you may have heard of. Cana will be a stop we make there. Cana was the place of Jesus' first miracle at the wedding when he turned water into wine. Some very cool things there. We'll get to see that kind of place. They do have an area that is believed to be the house, the place where the wedding took place, and they have found wine jugs, giant wine barrel. They're stone, but I would call them a barrel for our language purposes here. And those very well could have been the things that Jesus had, that he made the water that was in them into wine. And not far from there, of course, is the hometown of Jesus, Nazareth. And there's some amazing things at Nazareth. I will not get into all of them, but we'll hit 2 or 3 different places there in Nazareth. One of the cool things that you'll be able to see as we come up into the city is you can actually see the cliff. Nazareth, of course, is built up on a hill, as most of their cities are. And as we go in, you'll be able to see the cliff on the one side of it that is where the people meant to throw Jesus off when he first came back to his hometown to preach, and they rejected him. So you kind of see that area. You'll be able to see exactly what they were trying to throw him off of, and the fact that he was able to get away from that and walk through the crowd unmolested was a cool thing because it kind of meant death. Last place that we'll go kind of here at this beginning, that as we get into the Galilee area, this may have to be 3 videos as I'm looking at my time. We might have to do more than 2, but that's okay. I'll just send them out a little quicker. The last place we'll go to is, as we get to our hotel there, is a Nofkin Asar. It is a kibbutz. A kibbutz is a place to stay. It is I'm going to use the American term motel, but please do not think of a motel. Okay, it's more like a compound, or it'll have several buildings that we'll be staying in, depending on what rooms we're assigned. There'll be one central building. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. One of my favorite places while we were there is they have a pier that goes out onto the Sea of Galilee. And I love to go out there at night and check that out. It was very, very cool. I highly recommend it. But we'll go to Nov Ginosar. And there at Nov Ginosar, there is a place that we'll go and visit. They found an ancient first century boat that was, it's right there by Magdala, right there between Tiberias and Magdala, and right on the sea. They found this first century boat. Now, there's absolutely no indication whatsoever that this has any tie to Jesus or the disciples or any biblical story whatsoever, except the time frame. And we'll be able to go see the boat, hopefully. Again, everything's in flux. We never know for sure until we're standing there. And of course, we'll ask for, your patience as we get through that. But we'll go see the boat. You'll be able to see how the boats were made and be able to picture Jesus calming the storm in this boat, sleeping in the back corner as they went across, the disciples lined up in this boat as they went from place to place during the early part of Jesus' ministry. And I mean, it's not a big boat. It's not a small boat. It's bigger than a bass boat, I would say. But, it's not anything massive. And it's made of wood. This was very lucky to find because it had been encased in mud. And at one point during a drought here in the last few years, the drought brought the water level down enough where they were able to find this and bring it up out of the mud and save it and be able to study it. Some ancient nails, very similar to what likely had been driven into Jesus' hand on the cross, are there. And then one of the most beautiful places we'll go, again, in my opinion, is this chapel of the ancient boat that they have there. And we'll stop by and we'll do a little bit of worship there. But it was a chapel that's been dedicated to this thought and this memory, and it's also dedicated to the women of the Bible. Beautiful, beautiful place. Modern, not ancient in any way whatsoever. Very powerful, very cool thing. At this point, we will be on the Galilee, Sea of Galilee. We will be in the north, and we'll have several places we're going to visit here in the north. But I do want to hit on a couple things we'll do kind of right there as we do them as well. The boat ride across the Sea of Galilee. We will take a boat. It is not an ancient boat. It's a fairly modern boat that has been designed to look older, but is much larger than what you'll see at the chapel of the ancient boat. And we'll take a boat ride, and you'll be able to experience the sea in the same way the disciples would have. Going out across the lake, the sea, seeing the water, seeing the sights. You can see the Golan Heights on one side, which is the barrier between Israel and Jordan. You'll be able to see the coastline that gives you an idea of where Jesus would have come out from when he walked on the water, and just how they would have made their living fishing on this sea. One of the very cool things we'll do there also is there's a restaurant that we'll eat lunch at the one day that it's called St. Peter's Fish. And you can go and we will be served the fish, and you will have the opportunity, if you so choose to, you are not forced to by any means, to have it prepared in the ancient way, and you'll get a whole fish on a plate. I did. I probably will again. First of all, it was delicious, but it's also an experience to get that whole fish, and you kind of pick around, you move the head and all that kind of stuff. If that is not your deal, and that disgusts you to no end, that's cool. They will also prepare it in a more modern way, broiled, fried, however it is that they do it. You can have pieces of fish. Not going to make anybody too uncomfortable, though I do challenge you to make yourself uncomfortable. I may throw a picture of the fish up there here as well, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. On our journey now, we've made it to the country. We've gone into country, and we are now in the Galilee region. Next video, we'll talk about Galilee. We'll talk about what is there and what we will be experiencing, some of those places. I think that probably has more places you've never heard of, even though they are biblical. They're kind of minorly biblical, but they have a big impact. So Sorry for the spoilers. If you saw this and you thought, man, this isn't what I want, skip any more location videos that I got coming out. That's okay. But like I said, I want to provide you guys with the best experience possible. I want you to feel as comfortable as you can going into the trip, although I do encourage you to be uncomfortable during the trip. I want you to get out of that comfort zone for yourself. But I also don't want anyone to feel undereducated. I've had several of you reach out to me saying, I don't know if I know enough to go on this trip. You do. You absolutely do. Because even if you don't, that's an okay thing. Maybe you don't know about Megiddo and the end of times. I just kind of want you to know why it's there. Or again, Mount Carmel, where Elijah was. Maybe you don't recall that story. That's okay. That's why you're going to have a tour guide who knows what he's doing. You have Cheris and myself who are going to help you understand and unpack both what we have done that day or what we are going to do the next day. Don't feel like you are too dumb or too uneducated or not the right person to go on this trip. Everyone needs to go on this trip. Any Christian in this world should visit the Holy Land, no matter your level of education, no matter your level of faith. You are going to see things. I saw things that I didn't know about. I had no idea about. We'll talk about one next time that absolutely escaped me. I didn't recall it from Scripture. I didn't know why we were there until we were almost to the point of leaving, till I finally understood what this place was. So please do not take this as a condemnation on your faith, on your religious upbringing, or anything like that. This is done so that you are comfortable. And I want you to be comfortable knowing that you're going on this trip. As always, check out the website for any further information. It'll come up on here as well. That is a Canvas site. Just make sure you go to that. It'll have everything. If you haven't got your deposits in yet, get your deposits in. No, I'm kidding. But please do get your deposits in as soon as you can so we have those spaces reserved. If you missed, again, the announcement, we do have a final price, $46.99. We'll get you everything that you need. And please share this. Share this with people you know. Share this with friends and family. Share it with people at your church. If you would like for me to come give a presentation about the place, it isn't just a recruiting video. It's also an education presentation that I can give to the people that maybe won't go but want to hear about what this country and this place really is. And if we can get you a few other friends, companions, whatever, to go with us, that's great too. So email me with any questions. Here's the email address. Again, experienceisrael2006@gmail.com. If you have any questions about anything, please reach out and we will make it happen. Answer any questions we can. We will help out any way that we can. Please just continue to like, subscribe to these videos, and we'll do that. So thank you so much, and we will talk soon.